Okay. So now we are witnessing a kind of, or rather the beginning of transformation in Vukani's consciousness. He's questioning things. He's so slow, very slow. He's supposed to seize the opportunity and tell his parents and the visitors that he doesn't want to play the violin, but he was afraid. But the point is that he's questioning, he's thinking. He's thinking about the reasons as to why he felt afraid. And he's questioning the reasons as to why he did not act decisively for his own good. And then he became angry. And that is a reflection of the transformation in his consciousness. So he knows what causes him suffering. So in order to change your life and in order to change your environment, you need a program. And that program starts with a diagnosis, analysis, knowing exactly what brings you suffering, what causes your suffering. In the case of South Africa, it was apartheid, authoritarianism, colonial authoritarianism, racial authoritarianism. Don't forget these words. And these are represented in this fiction in the education system Vukani is getting and the kind of music he is forced to learn. Notice he's compelled, he's forced. Whereas we know that music is supposed to promote freedom. So there's a contradiction here. Education is supposed to liberate you. Education is supposed to liberate your mind. But here, what do we have? It installs, implants an inferiority complex in your consciousness, that you are inferior to the colonial master. In Palestine, the Israeli; in South Africa, it was the white Boer, the white master. So he knows what brings him suffering, and he lacked the determination to stop doing what brought him suffering. Okay. At that moment, when they were waiting for him to play the violin, they are standing in his room, expecting him to start playing the violin. At that moment, there was a dull explosion seemingly coming from the kitchen of something massive suddenly disintegrating into pieces. Something broke in the kitchen. There was a moment's silence. Then Vukani's mother muttered, "Aha, the bloody street girl." Who is she talking about? Who's the bloody street girl? Her daughter, Tebogo. The bloody street girl has done it again. So this is not the first time that she breaks something. Now, this is a metaphor, don't forget. And this incident is very important. And she, the mother, stormed out of the bedroom. Her voice could be heard clearly in the kitchen. Oh, so she's in the kitchen. Oh, Lord of heaven, of the heavens, my. Now she's not worried about her daughter. My expensive, my precious, my expensive. This girl has done it again. Tebogo, has the devil got into you again? Do you have to be breaking something every day? Okay, now she's not that tolerant, as you noticed. So let's look at this incident. Let's look at Tibojo's reaction. It slipped out of my hand, said Tibojo in a subdued voice. I mean, what? It slipped out of my hand. What could I do? What kind of hands do you have? Said her mother, shrieking with anger. It was a mistake, replied Tibojo, her voice now a pitch higher. Okay, look at the difference between Tibojo and Vukani. What a costly mistake. Oh my God. What a costly one. I gave Mrs. Willard 300 rands, the South African currency. I gave Mrs. Willard 300 rands to bring me this set from Hong Kong when she went there on holiday. And I have pleaded with you countless times to be extra careful with the china. Now she's paying more attention to the objects in the house, not to her children, to objects. And this is, you remember, last time, what did we say about this? We said this is an ideology of consumerism. Okay, consumerism. Are we clear? She worships objects. She worships things. Her value as a human being, or rather as an individual, lies in the value of the objects she owns. Many of us are like that. When we buy a new mobile phone, we try to show off. We think our value lies in the value of the mobile phone. When I buy a new car, I try to show off in front of my friends because that is me. The car is me. The mobile phone is me. The new dress that I am wearing is me. The new suit that I'm wearing is me. All right? I objectify myself. So what do we call that? When I start worshipping objects. Objectification. Oops. All right? And also we call that fetishism. Okay? Definitions, ya shabab ya sabaya. Definitions, okay? What is consumerism? What is objectivity? What is fetishism? I have just explained it. All right. So Ma, let's look at, now this is not Vuka, this is Tibojo. Ma, I didn't just dash the pot to the floor. Yeah, I didn't do it on purpose. So why are you screaming in a way? You see, there is a form of defiance. Defiance. What is defiance? Defiance means resistance. And the mother says, and such care doesn't cost much. How many households in the whole of Johannesburg, white and black, can boast of owning such a set? A genuine set, you see, that's what is important. That is what is important, the object, okay? I think I'm one of the very few people in South Africa who have such dishes. Will you not appreciate that? Don't just stand there. Mama, can you please stop it? Okay. Look at Tibojo's voice sounded urgently restrained. Can you please stop that? All right. Is that how you are talking to me? The mother is saying. Okay, so here is Tibojo confronting her mother. You don't want to listen to anybody, she's saying to her mother. You just came in here shouting. You just came in here shouting. Tibojo's voice was loud with a note of what? defiance. Are we clear? Teboho is defiant. Are we clear? This is important. Look at the difference between Teboho and Vukani. Ya Shabab, Ya Sabaya, I want you to start thinking about these qualities in this, in Teboho, sorry. Yeah, Teboho's character. All right? For your essay now, you start, you need to start thinking about main points that you will discuss in your essay. And notice defiance. Unlike Vukani, correct? Okay. It seemed to have lost all restraint. Her voice, sorry, here we go. It seems to have lost all restraints. Is that how they teach you to talk to your parents at the university? All right. Of course you should respect your parents. Of course you should. Okay. But the mother is using that to say there is something wrong with the education here. Okay, at the university. Of course, what kind of universities? Again, we are back to the education system. This might be a reference to alternative education. You remember we talked about the pedagogy of the oppressed? Good education teaches you to explore your identity. Explore your identity. To be who you are. To be critical. To be critical. Not submissive to any kind of authoritarianism. The mother represents a kind of authoritarianism, as we said last time. Mama, okay, is that what they teach you at the university? Mama, that is not the point. Are you arguing with me? I am not. Then what are you saying? Okay. This is very important, okay? You are always telling us not to break dishes, not to scratch the furniture, not to break your house plants. There are so many things one cannot do in this house. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Authoritarianism. Haven't you been, okay, important. Haven't you been showing more interest in your dishes than in your children? Very, very important. I have just explained it. Okay? Value. Haven't you been showing more interest in your dishes than in your children? What? Of course, the mother is shocked. The mother is shocked. I'm not going to say anything more. What decent girl but a slut? Oh. Now, this is a very, very bad insult. Very strong, very strong. But this is what the mother is saying about her daughter. What decent girl but a slut can talk like that to her mother, and there are visitors in the house? Mama, will you stop? There was the sound of a slap. Slap. The mother slapped Teboho. Another, but what did Teboho do? Another explosion, which means she broke another dish, another, not necessarily, it could be a cup, whatever, but she broke something in reaction to her mother's anger, and because her mother slapped her. Resistance, defiance. Lighter this time, perhaps a glass. Are we clear? Are we clear? Are we paying attention? Tebogo's character. So Tebogo is the second, I would call her revolutionary, yeah. What's his name? Maseko, Teacher Maseko. You remember Teacher Maseko? Okay. You have slapped me, scrapped Tebogo. Okay, I am leaving this house. Oh, 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 oh. I'm leaving this house. That is not Vukani. That is not Vukani. This is Tebogo. We will see how this incident affects Vukani's consciousness. You can stay with it. With what? With the house. Since you love all these objects in the house more than you pay attention, rather, to your children. If you want to be okay, this is very, very important. If you want to be, I need to change the color. I don't know how to do that, but anyway, I will, okay. All right. If you, oops, sorry, I made a mistake, I think. Sorry about this. Okay, one important word that I want you to remember all the time is defiance. Okay? Okay. If you, here is the sentence that I'm, oh, no. Oh, I don't know what happened. Okay, sorry. Okay. If you want to be a slave to things, this is what consumerism means. This is what fetishism means. You know, being a slave to things, you worship things more than human values. More than human values. Yeah, here we go. If you want to be a slave to things, then do it alone. Don't force us to do this. There was the sound of a little scuffle, like a small fight, followed by hurrying footsteps. Then the door of Tebogo's bedroom banged shut, rattling some cutlery. Slave to things, ya shababu ya sabaya. That's what the mother is. That is how Tebogo, the daughter, looks at the life led by her mother. Okay? And Tebogo doesn't like that. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want to be like her mother, a slave to things. All right? Vukani's father was about to leave for the kitchen when he met his wife at the door. She brushed past him into Vukani's bedroom, grinning, like smiling. Hypocrisy. Clear? Grinning at the visitors. I am sorry for that unfortunate diversion, she said. Children can be destructive. Since Tebogo went to that university in the north. So there is a university in the north of South Africa that was, in fact, teachers at that university under the apartheid system were teaching their students progressive ideas about freedom, liberation, resistance. That is what education is supposed to be, ya shababu ya sabaya. And I hope that you are paying attention to this. It's not only memorizing things. No, not at all. I mean, when you study English literature, of course, you can study Shakespeare, you can study not only, British literature, but things that are written in English. You also, you are supposed to be studying things related to promoting a new consciousness of resistance. Look at teacher Maseko in this story. Look at what they teach them at the University of the North, for example. And that's what the mother is not happy with. She doesn't like it. She says, since Teboho went to that university in the North, she became a new girl, of course, a new consciousness. She has some, strange ideas. And I think this is the most important thing here. Strange ideas that are different from the mother's ideas. Ideas of liberation, ideas of resistance, idea of equality, better consciousness, critical consciousness, even revolutionary consciousness. Black consciousness movement led by Steve Biko. You remember yesterday we talked about Steve Biko. I asked you to watch that movie, Cry Freedom, about the life of Steve Biko, the founder of the Black consciousness movement. Yeah, clear, very important. I hope you are paying attention. What kind of strange ideas? Opposes everything, defiant. These are the ideas the mother doesn't like. Look at this. Can you have your own child, that is to both, of course, calling you a white black woman, a slave of things? Shabab or Sabaya, very important. A slave of a white black woman, a slave of things. You remember Frantz Fanon. Okay, that's what Frantz Fanon talked about. This is the title of his book, right? Okay, I want to repeat this because this is extremely important. You need to analyze this. Since Teboho went to that university in the North, she has some very strange ideas, opposes everything, defiant. Can you have your own child calling you a white black woman? She's black, of course, but she is acting like a white woman, a slave of things. She worships objects. This is a reflection of the ideology of consumerism. Are we clear? Very important. Okay. All right. So, and then she mimicked the Bocha's voice. She mimicked it. That's how it is planned. Okay. Another very important sentence in this fiction. Teboch, this is what Teboch said, and the mother is mimicking her. She said, this is the program now, ya shababu yalla. This is the political program. Teboch said, that's how it is planned, that we be given a little of everything and so prize the little we have that we forget about freedom. Wow. Wow. That is what Teboho says. She says that the white supremacists, racist apartheid government of South Africa, like Israelis, they give us just a little of everything and we forget about our freedom because we believe what they are giving us is fantastic. I want you to think about Oslo. Oslo, the Oslo Accords, اتفاقيات Oslo. We were given a little bit here and there, and Oslo was signed in 1993, and we are in 2021. And what do we have? Nothing. We don't have our freedom. We don't have our freedom. So this is a fascinating sentence. 2, 3, or 4 very important sentences in this story, in this novel, or rather novella. Teacher Maseko says something you remember about dogs. Okay, I'd rather be a hungry dog roaming the streets rather than a fat dog burdened with the chains. And here Teboho says that's how it's planned, that we be given a little of everything and do so prize the little, and we forget about freedom. I love this one. I love it. And I really want you to use it. Okay. Now I'm sure you understand why at the beginning of this story, I told you that Teboho's character is very, very important. Maseko, Teboho, two conscious revolutionary characters. But what does the mother say? Mother says, it's fancy. She doesn't believe in that. Forgive me. But I had to remind this show-off girl that I was her parent. And that's why I slapped her. Okay. All right. So we are done with this. Oops. There was a moment's silence of embarrassment. The adults all exchanged glances. A wave of sadness crossed Vukani's mother's face, but it did not last. Just, so the wave of sadness did not last on Teboho's Vukani's mother's face. One can never know with children, dearie, observed Mrs. Zwane, breaking the silence. Mrs. Zwane is the visitor. Indeed, said her husband. There was another silence. Well, Vuka, now Vukani. Well, Vuka, said Vukani's father at last, can you heal our broken spirits? Oh my God. Okay. Yes, agreed his mother. We have been waiting for too long. Okay. Now, Vukani is supposed to seize the opportunity. Look at, what his sister has just done. He doesn't want to play the violin. He doesn't want to do that anymore. And now, he has to, they are expecting him to play the violin and he has to say no. That's it. Vukani thought of his sister. He wanted to go to her. They were very lonely. Again, ya shababu ya sabaya, lonely, which means, again, the theme of alienation. Sorry, no, not this one. Lonely, yeah. Their parents disapproved of many of their friends. Okay, the question is, why did their parents disapprove of many of their friends? Because they were not from the same class and they were Black. Yeah, even Doxy. I mean, the mother didn't want him to be friends with Doxy. His mother had said he should have a friends of, okay, here's the reason. He should have friends of his own station in life. Class. black middle class. What would a barber's son bring to him? Doxy, because he's a barber's son. What would a barber's son bring to him? All this had brought Vukani and Tibucho very close. He decided then that he would not let his sister down. So, is he going to say no to his parents now? He doesn't want to play the violin, but he says, what? But what could he do? Now, this is a stream of consciousness. Vukan is a stream of consciousness. So what can he do now? He thought of dashing the violin against the wall. Wow, that is too much. That is radical. And then rushing out of the house. He thought, he didn't do it. Okay? He thought of dashing the violin against the wall and then rushing out of the house. But where would he go? Who did he know nearby? The relatives he knew lived very far away. He did not know them all that well anyhow. Why? Why didn't he know his relatives very well? Well, notice, even relatives, he did not know them all that well. He remembered how envious he would be whenever he heard other children saying they were going to spend their holidays with their relatives. He was not like that because his parents, especially his mother, wouldn't allow him to do that. So, perhaps with a grandmother, for example, or an uncle, he remembered once asking his mother when were they going to visit his uncle. His mother had not answered him, but then there was that conversation between his parents. By the way, Vukani's mother had started it. When did you say your sister would be coming? She was talking to his father. Next month. There had been a brief silence before his father continued. Why do you ask? I have been telling you practically every day. I was just asking for interest's sake. Well, his father had said, putting down the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail was a white liberal newspaper. Yeah. And picking up the Star. The Star is another white liberal newspaper. I just feel there is more to the question than meets the eye. Why are you asking all the time about my sister when she's coming, as if you don't want her to come? You think so? Yes, I think so. There had been silence. Relatives, okay, look at the mother now. She doesn't want even to have relatives. Relatives, his mother had come out eventually. Relatives can be a real nuisance. Oof. Once you have opened the door, they come trooping in like ants. We cannot afford it these days. Not with the cost of living. These are different times. Okay, look at the complex now. That is the point. Whites, look at her role model now. Whites saw this problem a long time ago. That is why they have very little time for relatives. So she wants to be like white people. Black skin, white masks. Yes, she is black, she's African, but she has that white. It's an inferiority complex. Inferiority complex. Nuclear family, that's what matters. Of course, Africans like us, we still have extended families, which is something nice actually. Anyway, that's what matters. I believe in it. I believe in the nuclear family. I have always maintained that if relatives want to visit, they must help with the groceries. They must buy things when they come to visit. There I am clear, my dear, very clear. Vukani's father had said something about whites are whites, Africans are Africans. But Vukani's aunt never came, of course, with a mother like this, of course. Of course, she's her sister-in-law. Vukani's mother is the aunt's sister-in-law. But Vukani's aunt never came. Nobody ever said anything about her. Yet Doxy liked to say, Doxy, it's nice to have many relatives. Then when you are in trouble at home, you can always hide with one of them. And our father will go from relative to relative looking for you. When he finds you, he will be all smiles trying to please the relatives. Yeah, this is funny, of course. But anyway, you can have support. Relatives support you. Vukani called his mother. That was stream of consciousness. This was Vukani's stream of consciousness. Suddenly his mother brings him back to the moment. Vukani called his mother. We are still waiting. Will you start playing now? Vukani. Okay, let's see now. Is he going to play? Or he's going to act defiantly like his sister Tebogo. So now is the moment of truth. Will he say, no, I don't want to play the violin, and put an end to it and begin developing a new oppositional consciousness, critical consciousness? Or will he just surrender and play the violin? Next class, we will answer this question and finish. Okay? All right.